Thing for Monday, the 4th of March. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Hope you all had a good weekend. There is a new piece of Linux malware that has been identified, which is exploiting GPRS roaming networks to target telecom companies. So basically, it's exploiting the well-known architectural weaknesses in GPRS. So this particular piece of malware uses GPRS tunneling protocol (GTP) for command and control operations. It basically sends GTP-C echo request messages carrying a malicious payload. It is possible that this can be probed from externally from the network by sending TCP packets. So it's basically it's been so GPT-DOR is the malware and appears to be tailored to reside on compromised hosts directly linked to the GRX network, which the systems are using to communicate with other telecom communication operators via GRX. So it is not completely new, but then I think it is a new way of looking at this particular problem. It's being exploited by an APT known as Light Basin, or UNC 1945. They've been around since October 2021. And they are known to target telecom sectors, aiming at stuff like pilfering subscriber data and call metadata. What can you do about this? Very little as a user, I think. This is vulnerabilities in systems which are kind of outside of our control, but just worth being aware of the fact that most things mobile are not as secure as you would like them to be once you get under the hood. They're just poorly understood, which is why they're not more regularly exploited, in my opinion. So a recent study by a Massachusetts-based security firm called Aqua has shed light on a vulnerability present in millions of GitHub repositories. The vulnerability is being referred to as repo jacking, and it is a significant threat to repositories belonging to, well, in fact, actually anybody, but organizations like Google, Lyft, and others have been named in this particular article. So what is it? Well, basically, it is exploiting a weakness in the way that GitHub allows administrators to change their usernames. Now, if you change your username in GitHub, what happens in the background is that they make a link between the old username and the new username in order to allow for continuity. So rather than going back and changing ownership across a complex landscape, they simply say, well, okay, this is linked to that, blah, 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 off you go. Now, but what they're not apparently not doing is preventing the old username from being reused. So if you do manage to guess or otherwise acquire a username that was previously used by an organization or somebody within an organization, that gives you access to the repo. Now, once you've got access to the repo, of course, it's yours. You can do with it what you will, from simply denying access to legitimate users through to embedding dodgy stuff in the code, you name it. This type of supply chain attack isn't new. In fact, it's been around. It was first, as a technique, was first noticed in 2016. However, this particular instance of this vulnerability has only recently come to light. So, what can you do about it? Don't change your username if you're an administrator. Might be a place to start. Yeah, not sure. What else you can do? I mean, apply the usual authentication methods to prevent people from easily getting access to your accounts. But I guess from the way that this is set up, once you've guessed it and you've created an account, you've got access. So interesting article, worth a read if you use GitHub. It's a Cybersecurity News article. So yeah, definitely worth reading. There has been a noticeable increase in the use of lookalike news websites, being basically copies of BBC, CNN, CNBC, Forbes, Huffington Post, Reuters, Guardian, Washington Post, and various others, about 60 news websites. They are good copies of the original websites and contain articles which have been lifted from the original websites, which at one level that's they're plagiarizing the other websites, but mainly the reason they're doing this is because they are looking to this particular organization. It's an Indian-based organization, appears to be looking to increase SEO and sell advertising, press releases, and other bits and pieces. So it is a well orchestrated rip-off of the genuine news sites. So a good example that they put in this particular article is the website GuardianNewsToday.com is not associated with The Guardian. However, if you go there, you get news from The Guardian. So as always, these things will, the browser protections will catch up with this stuff, but things like these known known malicious sites or known basically known dodgy sites, they're always playing catch up. So there are they will always lag behind. Well, the article from Bleeping Computer has got a list of, I think, I'm not going to count them all, but if they say it's 60 plus, I'm going to assume that list is 60 plus long, of sites. If you are looking after browsing protection for your organization, I would definitely stick these into the block list. And if you are not in a position to control where people browse to, you may well want to add these in to your SIEM or your security visibility tooling to flag up when people do attempt to browse to these sites. So at the moment it doesn't look like these sites are hosting anything particularly nasty, but there's no reason to say that they wouldn't in the future. You have no idea how well protected these sites are. The organization that has spun them up may well get compromised themselves. So goodness only knows what is going to happen with this lot. But yeah, so keep an eye on that one. And then finally from me today, a very interesting article in Security Affairs that I came across this morning, that a US judge has ordered the NSO Group to hand over the Pegasus spyware code to WhatsApp. As a very quick recap, NSO Group claims to make legitimate spyware, the spyware being Pegasus, which has been used and thoroughly abused to compromise mobile devices, including iPhones. It was aimed at nation-state surveillance of terrorists, at least in theory. However, there is a long history of the software being used by nation states that perhaps don't have the best interests of their citizens at heart. So yeah, it's been used to target NGOs, political opponents, you name it. It's been used for basically all sorts of nasty stuff. Well, in October 2029, WhatsApp sued NSO Group, accusing it of carrying out malicious attacks against users. The legal action alleges that the NSO Group tried to compromise around 1,400 individuals through WhatsApp hacking attempts. It appears that when a vulnerability in WhatsApp was notified or released, or became reasonably well known, that was built into the Pegasus software as part of the methods that they use in order to subvert and gain access to mobile devices. So, well, basically the court ruling is providing, I think, a legal protection against state-sponsored spyware attacking users of third-party systems. The judge has decided that the NSO Group doesn't have to reveal the names of its clients or information about its servers, but it has said that the source code will have to be made available to WhatsApp. So, an interesting. I think it is a small step in a good direction. If you've listened to this briefing for a while, it will come as no surprise that one of my concerns is government overreach, even in governments which we would consider to be basically out on our side. There are some very worrying trends. Governments that take an excessive interest in the minutiae of the lives of their citizens are rarely up to any good. Or at least history shows that. So there we are. I thought that was interesting. If you are following this particular story, that's an interesting one to read. Anyway, that's enough from me for this morning. I hope you have a good start to the week, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow morning.